everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Shawnee Collins Woods, and today I'm going to talk about my experience earning tenure in March 2024. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. On this channel, I talk about all things related to self-care, success, healthy boundaries, and healthy relationships. And so this will be a success video. When I started to look online, I realized that not many individuals were talking about their experience or talking about earning tenure. I was able to find some videos from a few of my colleagues at different universities, but I did not see many videos from Black women in particular talking about their tenure experience. And so I want to contribute to perhaps this gap in information that may exist on YouTube and share this information in a way to help others who are on the tenure track at their respective university, or for those who are just simply looking for ways to be successful in the area of obtaining tenure. I started my job at my present employer, which I really love. I love my employer, in August 2018. However, I had many years of teaching experience, moving from being an adjunct to an assistant professor of social work at a historically Black university in Mississippi, to my present employer. I've enjoyed all of my collegiate level teaching experiences. I've learned many things over the years, and all of those experiences and just, working with students both at the undergraduate level as well as the graduate level have taught me many things about myself. And I have learned the process of, working in academia. And from that perspective, I could say I kind of knew what I was going into. Also, when I think about my experience as a PhD student, I attended the University of Alabama. I earned my PhD in social work from the School of Social Work. We had lots of conversations with our professors about what would be required for us on tenure track. So I felt that Alabama really prepares students, the PhD program, to move into academia, because the PhD is a research degree and it is also teaching is also a requirement. So I really felt that Alabama laid a strong foundation for us and for me as a student, and also for my peers in terms of telling us what would be expected of us. But I had an advantage in the sense that I was a member of the Southern Regional Education Board Doctoral Scholars Program. And for 7 years, I was, attend conferences on teaching and mentorship and what the expectation would be for me once I obtained a tenure track position. So I can say that I had a lot of mentorship and guidance from various programs and from my large network of faculty members who I often reach out to for assistance and questions. You will need to identify your department's retention, tenure and promotion requirements, your RTP, retention, tenure, and promotion requirements. Each department has different criteria. The social work department looks quite different from science and math, psychology. Everyone has a different department criteria. You can get these requirements from your online faculty handbook sometimes, but also from academic affairs and also from your department chair. And those requirements specify everything I needed to do to obtain tenure. They also told me what I needed to do to obtain promotion to full professor. So I was aware of the requirements early on. At my university, there is a 1-year faculty mentorship program where you are partnered with a senior faculty from your department. And this faculty is supposed to give you guidance, direction, and leadership in terms of how to move and navigate your 1-year experience. They also reduced our advising load. So we didn't come in even advising because they strictly wanted us to focus on getting familiar with the job. But every Tuesday for 1 hour, I would meet with those individuals who came in my cohort with me in 2018. It was about 26 of us. And we would meet different university officials and leaders, such as the president, the provost, department chairs, graduate deans, our college deans, even just, regular colleagues. They would come in, talk to us about the university, talked to us about ways to get publications, ways to teach, all different things to just improve our experience as first year faculty. And so I was really appreciative of that, although I had already had prior knowledge because, I've been teaching for a long time. And I also had all this wonderful experience at Alabama and also my training experience as a doctoral fellow. I was still appreciative of the university for providing that nest or that support, because most universities don't even have a first year program where they're telling you how to obtain tenure. So for me, this let me know, hey, my university is trying to set me up for success. So for the most part, since 2018, I worked on meeting criteria in the areas of teaching, such as my teaching assignment. So that looked like, grading my work, making sure that I met with my classes, making sure that work was turned back into my students in a timely manner, making sure that all syllabi were meeting, core competencies, that they were uploaded to online classes, to my D2L shell, things of that nature. So making sure that my teaching assignment met the criteria for each of my classes that I taught from 2018 up into 2024 when I submitted my tenure file. And so over the years, I have done that. And over the years, we received feedback from different, faculty members on ways to improve and what to not do, what to do. So that happened not only in the area of teaching, but also in the area of research and scholarship. So it looked like I had to produce a publication. I also had to do grant work. I also just had to demonstrate that I knew what was required of me in terms of producing scholarship. And the last area looks at service. So that meant service to the university. So that's serving on university committees, volunteering, things of that nature, service to the department, serving on departmental committees, whatever those committees are. And there are many, many departmental committees, but also service to the college committee. I'm in the College of Behavioral and Health Sciences. What role could I serve on to, benefit the college? So I had to serve on committees at the university, the departmental level, as well as the college level. But I also had to do volunteer work in the community because all universities are closely connected with the communities around them. From 2018 through 2024, I had to demonstrate every year why I needed to keep my job. And that's where retention comes in. So I was retained in 2019, retained in 2020, so forth and so on. And so here we are, tenure year. At my university, we began to use a new system called Watermark. And it is not a new system. Other universities use it, but it was a new system for us. And whereas before we had typically created our dossiers, and a dossier is a file where you compile all of your teaching, your research and service activities from that 1 year, and you upload it, you submit it to your committees, and when it's time for you to get retained, they review your materials and they say, yeah, you can come back another year. So that process goes on for 3 or 4 or 5 years. So we knew that we would be using a new system. And in fact, I think those of us who submitted our tenure files in September of 2023, and I was in that cohort, we were sort of like the individual who piloted this tenure, this first year cohort of tenure going through using the new Watermark system. But what our university did for us is they had many training sessions. They said, hey, we're using this new system. Everyone has to get on board with it. We know it's going to be challenging to make the change because in Watermark, what you have to do is for every single class you've taught, for however long you've been at the university, you have to upload your files. You have to say, hey, all of my files from 2018 have to go into Watermark. All of my teaching assignments and the way for me to prove that I've been doing my job, all of it has to go over. And some things were automatically transferred over, but some things were not. So what this looks like is a lot of administrative work. And some people were very livid about the Watermark. For me, I was just like, you know what? It has to be done. And they're telling us it has to be done. So I'm just going to take my time and do it. So what I did before I left the spring semester, the spring of 2023, because I submitted my tenure file in September of 2023, I took all watermark trainings. We had a representative on campus who worked in academic affairs, and he was very much available to us to meet via Zoom. I took every single training and I asked 1 million questions. And so that's what I did. Said, what do I need to do? And even over the summer, this representative was still available to answer my questions. And on a couple of those trainings, it was just me and the representative. I was like, I just want to make sure, I'm doing it right, that I have a thorough understanding. And sometimes it takes that when you are trying to achieve a huge milestone such as tenure. Again, only 2% of Black women in America have tenure. So I knew that I had to really demonstrate my work. And, for anyone obtaining tenure, that's just basically the requirement. I took a bit of time off because my dad died in February. And so I knew that my dad would want me to still go forward. He would say, go for it, girl. Don't stop anything you're doing because I'm not here. In fact, my dad would want me to continue. My parents have just always tried to prepare me in a way for life without them. And so I'm so grateful for that. So I took about, let's say we got on in April. So I'll just say May to July 30th off. So I just didn't do anything. But on July 31st, 2023, I went to work. And the good thing about it is that I had already been meeting with professors and those who would have input on my tenure decision. I met with a lot of them the spring before. I was just trying to get information. Hey, what do I need? What is this going to look like? I want to make sure we know each other because it's academia. Academia is not a non-political environment. So I'm going to encourage anyone, if you are on tenure track, make sure you start to get to know people who will be reviewing your information, especially those within your department, especially those at the committee level, and especially your dean. You need to be a face and people need to know who you are. But of course, if you've been there for several years, they will probably know who you are if you've been working and being on committees. So just make sure you are definitely talking to the people who you need to talk to before you submit your tenure file. And that is exactly what I did. I spent some time asking questions, getting feedback, and I'm happy that individuals availed themselves to me to assist in this way. They weren't telling me every single thing, but say, hey, here's how we do it, and you may want to look at it in this particular way. So, but I still had to do all of the work. So what I did on July 31st, I worked from July 31st well through September 8th, which is the day I had to submit my file. And every single day I worked on my watermark file. And I was asking questions of the watermark representative at our university. And I said, do all of these files have to be included? Does every single thing? And this individual said to me, yes, Shani, it all has to be included. So what that looked like for me, I had to submit a file for every single class. And I taught 33 classes over that time period. So that looked like, and I wrote it down here, that looked like my graded work. So I had to have graded work for all of those 33 classes. It also looked like advising for each semester that I had advised, whether that was summer, fall, or spring. I had to go in and redact all of the students' names, take all of their information out because you cannot have any identifying information for students listed in these shared files. So I had to go by hand and redact all of their names and even their university numbers just to make sure that nothing could identify the students. For papers, student papers, I had to demonstrate my graded work. I had to go in and redact names from each and every paper for 33 different teaching classes. That is a lot of work, but I worked on it day in and day out. And the thing that made watermark and doing this tedious, very specific administrative work easy for me, I have always saved everything in PDF. So really, it was just me downloading and moving things around, placing them in different files, and resaving and saving and saving and resaving and compressing files. So when you submit through this watermark system, they did not want anything in paper format, nothing in Word. Everything had to be in PDF and everything had to be in a compressed file. So that meant every single file had to be compressed. And this applied to teaching assignment. It also applied to my scholarship and my scholarship and research. So if I had written a grant, which I had 3 or 4 grants in there that I had worked on, I had to demonstrate and find emails and find documentation where the grant was either accepted or rejected. I had to provide proof of that. I had to do this for all those many years of university service, those many years of college level service, those many years of departmental level service for each and every single committee. Does that sound like a lot of work? Well, it is, and it was. And in addition to that, I had to make sure that I had my peer evaluations, all of my teaching evaluations from my colleagues. I had to go through all of those and pull down all of this information. And it was just a lot. When I think about it, it was a lot of administrative work. Was it feasible? Yes. But would I encourage anyone to wait to the last minute to do it? Absolutely not. So basically, when I think about the totality of my preparing for tenure, it took me I've been preparing all along, and working on things all along, making sure I was hitting milestones every semester. But in terms of compiling everything and doing the background work, I would say about a year preparation in advance, almost a year and a half in advance of prep work to actually submit the tenure file. So on the day, September 8th, when it was time for me to submit my tenure file, I wasn't really apprehensive or afraid. I was just like, I'm going to continue to work on things, make sure things are together, and I'm just continuing to work to the end. It was due at like 11:59. I think I may have submitted it by 10 o'clock. I wanted to just submit it an hour early. But what I also did was I worked again on a lot of things over the summer. Like I said, I started working in July. But by August 1st, because when you're submitting or applying for tenure, you have to let your departmental level reviewers review your information before you actually submit. So I knew that I had to submit my file on September 8th. So by August 1st, I had all information to my chairperson and to other people to review. I said, here's going out to 4 or 5 different people. And that gave them 1 month to get their feedback to me before I submitted my actual full file on September 8th. So they said, hey, change this, or we like this, or no. So they could give me some very much last minute specific feedback. So I would encourage you, if you are going up for tenure this year or anytime in the future, make sure you give your departmental level reviewers at least the preliminary information 1 month in advance. Do so because school starts in August for everyone. If you give it to them 2 weeks before school starts, they're not going to even look at it because they are busy with school. But if you give it to them maybe 1 month or even 2 months in advance, it's enough time for them to get revisions back to you. It's also respectful and collegial for you to do that, but also it gives you enough time to make the necessary revisions. And so I did that, got feedback in a timely manner. And so I was able to incorporate that feedback, in a timely manner. And like I said, I submitted that beautiful tenure file and I wasn't worried about it because it was deep and it was very meticulous and it was very specific and it was a lot, but it wasn't a lot on that day because like I said, I had been working on it for some months, just months and months and months, tracking at it every single day, not letting it pile up, making sure that I was clear on everything by asking questions. So when I submitted, I was like, okay. And so I submitted it on September 8th. So it went from me on September 8th to the departmental committee. Departmental committee approved on October 2nd. Then the chair approved on October 10th. Then the college committee, that's what I messed up. The college approved on November 6th. Then the dean approved on November the 21st. The provost approved on December the 6th. And lastly, the president approved on January looks like January 2024. And finally, it went to the Board of Trustees who approved on March 22nd, 2024. I had a few questions that I pulled up in chat just to sort of ask, like if someone were asking me. And one of the things I want to talk about is what was the most challenging aspect of the tenure journey for me. I would say, if I were to say one of the most challenging aspects of the tenure journey would just be, I think, sometimes having to juggle the multiple responsibilities, because in addition to being an assistant professor at the time, you still have to manage your work-life balance. So sometimes that could be challenging, but I think it's all about having a support team and having, a supportive environment around you and supportive resources. And that has been very helpful to me. And it was very helpful to me. And like I said, my dad died. Most people would probably say, I'm not submitting tenure. I just experienced a trauma. I could have stopped my clock, but I wasn't going to stop my clock because I was trained a long time ago at the University of Alabama. Never stop your clock. Never stop your clock. And this is something that was like embedded in my head. Don't stop your clock unless you have a serious reason to stop your clock. And by that, I mean postpone going up for tenure. I was not going to do that. What does it mean for me personally and professionally? When I think about earning tenure and moving from assistant professor to associate professor, I feel very excited and I feel blessed. And for me professionally, it means it's just like, what's the next step for me? The world is wide open. So who knows what the next steps are? It's in God's hands. I look forward to returning to my university in the fall, and we shall see what adventures academia takes me on. And just professionally, it's an opportunity to continue to grow, to continue to teach others, to educate, and to expand in my career in terms of being a social work educator. Do you think earning tenure will impact your teaching and mentorship roles? I think there's an opportunity to speak to individuals from underrepresented communities about what it takes to really be in academia and to succeed in academia. How can we work through and provide supports for individuals who don't necessarily know really fully what it means to be in academia? The academy is not anything new, but if you are perhaps a first generation college student, which I am not, both my parents attended college. And I go on to say I had individuals who I could see. My mother's twin brother is a university vice president. Although I didn't ask him any questions about going up for tenure, I feel like just even seeing or hearing some conversations about his experience and his job. My sister is a college professor and was a professor for many years. And she would often come home talking to me about faculty senate. So every time I would go to the Senate, I would always think about my sister's conversations and just having a network of mentors. I have had support, but I do feel like a lot of individuals do not have support. And so they don't necessarily perhaps know what is required. Excellent academicians and excellent scholars, but if the university environment is not supportive of that, obtaining tenure is just going to be almost impossible for them. And I still have a long ways to go to becoming a full professor. And so, those things are just important. Support and just talking about what tenure looks like for those from underrepresented communities, especially, Black women, because we are only 2%. And so having those conversations, that is something that I can continue to speak to. What are some key strategies or insights that I would share? I would just say for individuals who are thinking about obtaining tenure, make sure you go in and stay focused on your goal. There will be many opportunities to get distracted in the university environment. Some universities, because you have the PhD, it's just expected that you will do your work. You work your office hours, you go home. And sometimes you can get caught up in the, doing a lot of office chatter or just not focusing in the right way or not being intentional about the requirements, your RTP requirements. And then before you know it, you're like, dang, it's year 4 and I don't have what I need, or I go for tenure next year and I don't know what to do. I'm panicking. So don't ever find yourself in a place like that where you've kind of not been paying attention. So pay attention and do something every single year toward, or every single semester toward knocking off your list of those RTP requirements. For me, I do things in the fall and in the spring. So if I miss it one semester, at least I know I've done something for that academic year. So that's sort of how I have navigated and sort of moved through this process. And no one told me that. I just sort of created my own way of doing things and my own system so that I would not be caught, with my hands down, when it came time for me to submit my tenure file. And the last thing I'll share is that when I did obtain tenure, I actually became the second Black woman in my department's 50-year history to obtain tenure. There was one previous African-American faculty who passed in 2017 from my knowledge. And so I salute to her for, being the first person at my university in my particular department, in my specific department, not the university itself, but in my department to the first Black woman to earn tenure. And I am the second Black woman. So to anyone looking at this, you actually may make history because underrepresented faculty are still scarce in this academic space. And so in a sense, you never know what is out there for you. So keep going, stay focused, identify mentors. Don't lose heart if you get some rejection early on, if you don't get all the positive feedback in years 1 through 5. Keep going, keep persevering, and keep your eyes on the prize. And just remember, this is something I would tell myself all the time when I was in my PhD program. Your forefathers and those before you, foremothers, forefathers, they were doing this stuff and achieving these things. And they didn't even have AI. They didn't have technology. They didn't have computers. They were typing stuff out, typing dissertations, writing things by hands. We have so much available to us in terms of resources, connections. And if you don't get the connections at your university, reach out to the next university and don't stop reaching out, because that's what it's all about. So understand that if they did it back in the 1900s and in the 1920s and the 1940s, when there was so much, resistance and so much opposition, and we still deal with a lot of those issues in today's society, just know that if they did it, you too can do it. But you need a game plan. You got to stay focused, identify your sources of support, and don't be too prideful to reach out, or don't work in silo. And you don't have to advertise all of your moves. If someone tells you no or is unkind to you at your university, okay, I got you. Keep it moving. Go to the next, because there's always someone willing to help you, willing to give you advice, and willing to help you get to that next level of success. I could not have done it without the support of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, my husband, Tim, my parents, my sister, and the immediate support of colleagues at my university, because you have to have the support of your colleagues and the president and the provost and the dean in order to obtain tenure. So that is not missed on me. But thank you for watching this video. Please share with others. And I do hope you have a beautiful night. Take care. And until the next time, be safe and blessed.